Okay, we're at the door. I only go in one side. The other side is screwed shut so I can have more shelves. Inside my shop, I have my kiln. Um, it is fireproof. I have bricks on the floor since it's a wooden building. These are stove boards behind it with spacers. The white here is a fireproof ceramic fiber insulation, and I have it all over my shop. You'll see that. Okay, but my kiln is completely surrounded with the fireboard. Also, this was wired in by a certified electrician. On this side is my breaker box, a little bit hid behind my tools and supplies. The kiln is on its own breaker, so if something was to happen to it and I'm not in the room, it'll shut itself off. Okay, it's not a very big room. Like I said, it's 12 by 16. Along this wall is where I keep a rack with all my kiln furniture, we call it. There at the bottom is where my half shelves stack. These two behind the kiln have some work to be done. You can see the spots where the pots were. They have to be sanded down and kiln wash reapplied because glaze has gotten onto the shelves. But this is where I keep them. My little stilts and things here. The posts in this container. These are wooden bats. And I have plastic bats, little small ones I use to work with. These are pyrometric cones. These are what I test. I put inside the kiln to make sure that it fires to the correct temperature. Down here is a little shelf. This is a bead rack, so I can hang things up that are glazed all the way around. And of course my radio, this is where I put my gospel music on. I have a few CDs here. Little scrap clay. This little fancy tower here, milk crates, they do come in handy. I have them zip tied together. They make the greatest shelf. It's just a mud shop, so who needs anything real fancy? I have goggles. This is my calendar that I keep up with all my firing schedule, the firing degrees that each one needs to go to. On this wall, I have a metal shelf that I keep my wares on. It's not very full right now because I have the kiln loaded right now. Everything went into the kiln a couple days ago. I have a wooden cabinet here that I keep all my tools in, cookie cutters and that kind of thing. I have a big work table here. All my clay stacks under here. They're all on rollers, so I don't have to pick up anything. I just roll the box out, get out what I need, roll it back under the table. A couple bar stools to sit on to work with, to do my work. Plenty of plug-ins. These are banding wheels. I have a small one and a large one that I set my pieces on and spin them around so that it makes it easier to work with. This is a rolling pin rack full of my fancy rolling pins. I have a few extra. This one on top is for Christmas. These in this container up here are extra. They just didn't. I filled the rack up, and so I had to put them somewhere. Have several different containers with tools and things here. Someone gave me an idea of using pegboard, so I got a piece of it. I've still got to hang it. I'm going to try to see if I can put the racks on it, you know, the pegs, whatever you call them, and so I can hang some of my tools there and some of my rolling pins. Then I have shelves that I have put up, containers with tools. These shelves hold, these are GR pottery forms. They're all made out of wood. It's a marine grade wood so that it withstands moisture better. And I use these to form as drape molds to put my clay on. This is just my busy corner. I keep all my templates and my thickness strips and things. All right, and I'll get back to this side of the room where you can see that it is very small. This is one heater. This is two heaters that I keep in here because the clay and glazes cannot freeze in the wintertime. So, I am backed up against one wall, so you can see how small it is in here, but it's good for me. This is my Shimpo slab roller. I cut off a piece of clay. I pounded a little bit with a regular rolling pin to kind of weight the clay up. I use these mats on my table. The clay will not stick to it. And I get the clay ready and I put it on here and roll it through these rollers, and it flattens it out the thickness that I crank it to. And this is the thickness that I usually do. It's between 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch, somewhere along in there. This little piece of foam is what I use for push pots. You put your clay on there. You can lay a mold over the top of the clay and just press into the cushion, and it comes out a pot. This is also a glaze corner. I've got to figure out a different way to store these. These are dip and pour glazes. So each one of these buckets is a different color of glaze. They have to be mixed. I have a mixer, electric drill with a mixer bar on it. A chair for someone to sit on if they come to visit me, and a bar stool. These are my glazes. Let me pull this out of the way so you can see. Probably making you dizzy. But these are my Amico glazes. These are brush-on glazes. And I'm in the process of trying to get them organized where they're all in the little coat crates. So while I'm glazing, I just reach and pull them out. And then they're all in view for me to see, pick out what I need, use it, and put it back. So these are my greenware pieces. I have a good sized bowl here. This is a little platter. And there's my goats and different things I'm working on. Several pieces. Now this is sitting on top of its lid. The lid has this lace pattern on it. This is my first colander I'm attempting to make. These are upside down, but these will be what I call a jewelry tree. You can hang your earrings here and just put your rings or necklaces on top. Another little goat. These are going to be bookends. And just a few things here on top that are completely finished. And it's a little dusty, but it's the mud shop, so, you know. And that is up against the door that I have screwed shut. So, and I do have insulation behind the shelf, plywood, and then I have styrofoam and stuff behind it. And that is my mud shop. Also hid back here is a little drawer that I use for tools and other supplies. I have a drawer full of more rolling pins that I use for texture and other tools that I have here. So this is the mud shop. Also, these are what you call drape molds. These are made of plaster. The carpet is used. I put it on a brick outside. After I've glazed all my pieces, I wet this carpet and then rub the piece across, the bottom of the piece runs across the carpet so that it wipes and cleans the bottom of it so it doesn't run on the kiln shelf, hopefully. So this is my mud shop. This is where I make my pottery. Oh, and I guess I've passed it a couple times. I'll come back to it. This is also my pottery wheel and my little stool that I use. I use this pottery wheel also for the hand building part. I do throw some, not very often. I do better with the hand building. And I use it with the wall system, which is this bat with a hole in it. This little bitty piece with a pin goes on there. It goes on the wheel. The round GR pottery forms go on top of that, and you clay on it, and you form bowls and things, and it makes them perfectly round, just like you've thrown them. And actually, the bowl I have here was made with the wall system. But anyway, I'm about ready to get in this kiln. I've waited 3 days for the temperature to drop. It is now at 92 degrees and time to open. This is the inside of the kiln. First time I get to open it all the way and look. And now I'm going to take out all my pieces. When I get it all out, I will be back. And I'll videotape everything. I'm going to put it out on my table. And I'll be back.